Hey, what's poppin', guys? Ness here, back again for another video. Today, to do a rant on Dragon Ball. You all know how much I love Dragon Ball. Just look at what I'm wearing right now. Look, turtle symbol, turtle symbol. This is just lying about. This is just lying about. This is just lying about. So that's how much I love Dragon Ball. But there are a lot of people in the fan base for it that annoy me for various reasons. So I'm gonna go through those now. I have a big list of sorted everything out. So yeah, let's have a look. Alright, number one. Very few people are willing to try the Japanese version of Dragon Ball. Now, I can understand why they wouldn't, know it instantly, obviously, because a lot of people got into Dragon Ball by watching it on Toonami back in the day. So, I can understand that, but people it's mainly nostalgia, but people will just cling to these old dubs. And when you try and get them into the Japanese version, a lot of the time, the first thing people say is Goku's Japanese voice is gay, or something along those lines, which just sucks, That just sounds really ignorant. But, honestly, I can understand where people come from, because it's kind of weird to hear that kind of voice coming out with a big muscly dude. But honestly, it grows on you, and the main problem is very few people, give it the time. They'll watch a few scenes of it and say, oh, I'm done. I mean, like, watch an entire episode, listen to all the characters, they are actually very good. And the weirdest thing is if someone comes to people who watch other anime in Japanese, absolutely fine. When it comes to Dragon Ball Z, nope. Mainly because of nostalgia, which I just don't understand. And yeah, at the same time, people will claim that the Funimation voice actors from the original dub were so much better than the Japanese version. When the voice actors in the Japanese version were all highly trained sort of professionals, they've been in the business for a while now. And the Funimation voice actors were literally just hired off the street because Funimation was a startup company at this point. So, if you're going to say the Funimation voice actors, had more talent and experience in them, then where the hell are you coming from? I don't understand that. So pretty much that's my first point. Second point is the arguments, about filler a lot. Now, it's no secret that Dragon Ball has a lot of filler. And for the most part it sucks, except the driving episode, because that was amazing. But there are two ways around it, and a lot of people, completely hate Dragon Ball simply because of all this filler. Now, I can understand with the series, like I said, but there are ways around it. For example, one, Dragon Ball Kai, which I'll go on to talk about in a minute, and two is this right here, the manga. The few people who read the manga, the amount of people that read the manga is just ridiculous, because barely anyone does. And I'm not sure why, because the manga, it has no filler, and the art is pretty much consistently great when there's quite a lot of bad animation in the series, and the translation is better than the dub. Granted, it's not better than if you're watching the subtitles, because they're by Steve Simmons, I think his name is, who did a really good job for Funimation, to be honest. But yeah, but the fact of the matter is, the translation for the manga, despite it's not perfect, but it is better than the Funimation dub. And people just won't want to watch it, just won't have it, and I'm not sure why, because, I mean, if people are this into Dragon Ball, I don't understand why they, wouldn't take the time out to experience the series in the best way they can, and the way that it was, originally meant to be intended to be seen, because the manga is by Akira Toriyama, who started it all off and everything, so yeah, I think it's due to people just not wanting to read. I don't really know. But I think so. A lot of the time it just doesn't cross people's minds as well, because again, there are people who will read the Naruto manga, read the Bleach manga, read the One Piece manga, but they won't go near the Dragon Ball Z manga, so it's very odd like that. That's just my personal experience. I'm sure there are people out there who read the Dragon Ball manga, which is great, because it's pretty much the best way to experience the series, if you ask me, but it's very odd how little people do it. Yeah, so that's pretty much that there. Next point is people who hate Kai. Now, I can understand why people wouldn't like Kai. There are a lot of reasons not to. For example, Toei didn't reanimate it when they clearly could have done. The whole music scandal with Kenji Yamamoto and his music being taken out, that really disappointed me, because now you just have the score from the original plastered on there. But a lot of people hate Kai because there's a strange notion going around. Tons of people seem to think that Kai is censored. Now, that is true to some extent, because when it aired originally in Japan, there were a few things that were edited. For example, Goku and Raditz getting pierced by the Mekanko Sappo, or Special Beam Cannon. That was just changed to a burn mark, but that's how it is everywhere for Kai. But, as far as the Japanese edits go, there aren't very many. Obviously that changed when it aired on Nicktoons and such over here, but people seem to think that the version that aired on Nicktoons is the only version that exists, which is entirely wrong. Because if you buy the series on DVD and Blu-ray, it's completely uncut. More uncut than the original dub, for that matter, actually, because there's, well, more swearing, I guess. But, So yeah, I don't understand why so many people seem to think that Kai just isn't, just doesn't have an uncut release. Pro tip for you there: anime never has. I mean, unless it's for kids, pretty much. This is the rule of thumb. Unless it's for kids, very rarely will anime be released these days and only be available cut. So I don't know why people suddenly thought that. Not really sure. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh no, actually no. The other thing I want to talk about for Kai was the voice acting, the voice actors changing. And personally, I thought it was really good. I mean, it is down to opinion, to be honest, because, you know, voices is really down to opinion. But a lot of it is just fueled by nostalgia. People will say, oh no, this isn't the Dragon Ball Z I watched, and that's about it. That's their only argument. But if you sit down and listen to the new voices, for example, the one for Gohan, Colleen Clinkenbeard, which is the new one, it's so much better than the Chainsmoker voice we had for Gohan back in the day. And I don't know, I honestly think that people only really dislike the old actors because of nostalgia. And they just need to sit down and actually listen to the dub of Kai, because the dub of Kai is fantastic, like I said. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Kai. The next thing I'd like to talk about is people who have power level discussions all the time. Now, if you don't know, power levels are there pretty much just, you know, they are the fighting power of each character in the series. But the only reason power levels were introduced was so that the bad guys could underestimate the good guys. For example, the classic It's Over 9,000 scene, or It's Over 8,000 actually, was really just to, you know, the only reason power levels were there were to increase the impact of how much stronger Goku had become over all that training. Because, you know, you can see Vegeta and Nappa clearly underestimate him, like, oh, look how powerful he is, you know? So that is the only reason power levels were there. They didn't introduce him to be this sort of, like, complete guide to how strong Dragon Ball characters are, because Toriyama doesn't put that much effort into his manga, I'm afraid. I wish he did, but he doesn't. So yeah, and people will have discussions about power levels for so many different characters, which is ridiculous because they completely disappear for the story after about the Saiyan Saga, early Frieza Saga. Now, granted, the guidebooks, the Daisenshu guidebooks, do actually give you power levels for certain characters up to the Frieza Saga. But that's it, up to the Frieza Saga. And I see people having discussions about Cell and Boo and everything when we have absolutely no bearing on what their power level is. And it just seems silly to me because we have no idea. I mean, you can talk about, say, you know, how they match up in fights. I can understand that. But specifically using power levels when we know we have absolutely no basis as to what the power levels are. And even worse, people trying to apply power levels to characters from other series is completely ridiculous. Yeah, so why do people do that? We don't have any bearing on it, so yeah. So that's pretty much it for, yeah, the power level thing. Next thing is a lot of people go around saying Dragon Ball Z is a mature series for mature people like myself. Nope. Dragon Ball Z, or, well, Dragon Ball, is a shonen series. Now, shonen as a demographic is really for early teens to about 20, you know, around there. So, I mean, granted that is for over 18s, so you could say it's a mature series, but it's aimed at, but the main thing is Dragon Ball is aimed at everyone. Shonen, the main demographic is that sort of age group that I just said, but shonen series can really be enjoyed by anyone. That's the main thing about it, and Dragon Ball is no exception. So it really confuses me when people go around saying, "Oh yeah, Dragon Ball is so mature and stuff." I think it's because maybe that mainly comes from a lot of people who haven't seen a lot of anime or manga, and they think, oh wow, Dragon Ball Z really is something else, when really it's pretty tame compared to some shonen stuff. Hey, for example, check out Dead Man Wonderland or something. So yeah, it's always odd when people will say that, like it's some mature, completely different series like that, and it's all serious. That's another thing. People seem to think Dragon Ball is a really serious series, when in actuality it's just goofy and lighthearted, and that is from Toriyama's mouth himself. He's definitely said that, but he says all his manga is like that, really. And yeah, that's what it is. But people just blow it out of proportion, just say Dragon Ball is this really serious thing, which I just don't understand. You know, and they just try to take more from it than it's actually there, like all these deep meanings and stuff. Like, no, Dragon Ball is just a silly sort of series, you know? I mean, there is a little bit there, but for the most part, it's just a light-hearted little series, so that's the main thing about that. Now, my other problem, well, I've got two more, really. This problem is regarding Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z. And that is that not a lot of people watched it. Now, I can understand because Dragon Ball Z aired first back in the day on Teen Up. Well, technically, if you want to go all the way back, Dragon Ball aired first, but it was a failure. But yeah, Dragon Ball Z aired, first in the mainstream on Toonami, and people just seemed to stop there. Like, so they didn't want to go back and find out, the original series. So but I can understand that. They watched it on TV back in the day. Maybe they just grew out of it, didn't want to watch it anymore. But the thing that really confuses me is when new people get into the series, they will go straight for Dragon Ball Z, and they won't watch the original series. Now, obviously that's because Dragon Ball Z has more popularity, and probably more people have told them, oh, go check out Dragon Ball Z, with the, Z on the end, or Z. But, yeah, but it's just so weird, because, apply the same logic to, say, Naruto or something. I don't watch Naruto, but imagine if I were to start watching Naruto now, and I just started at episode 1 of Shippuden. How would you all feel then? I'm pretty sure if I started episode 1 of Shippuden, I wouldn't know what the hell was going on. And I honestly don't know how people knew what the hell was going on when they started episode 1 of Dragon Ball Z. So yeah, that's one thing about that. And another thing about people skipping out Dragon Ball is a lot of people's reason for not watching original Dragon Ball is, oh, there's no action. Now, as soon as someone says that to you, you know they haven't watched original Dragon Ball, because that is lies. The best fight of the entire series, in my opinion, is in the original portion of Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z. So, that just goes to show you. Like, yeah, so that fight that I was talking about, actually, is Goku versus Ten Shinhan at the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai. That is such a fantastic fight, and there was just so much more creativity there, because, I don't want to completely jump on the bandwagon and say, oh, Dragon Ball Z is just all overpowered people now, because, I still do very much like Dragon Ball Z, I do like the fights in it, but Dragon Ball was better, okay? The original series, And it just saddens me to see the amount of people who skip out on it, what I consider the best portion of the series, so that's really disappointing. Now, my final point is about Dragon Ball communities on the internet. Now, the only one really good one actually exists, if you ask me, and that is Kanzenshu. They're a really good thing, they're a really good sort of community because they, their main source is the Japanese version. Now, that's not because they hate the English version, but because people from all over the world visit there, so the one version they can all enjoy together is the Japanese version. Because, that's the original version, that's the way it was intended to be seen, so everyone can enjoy that. And everywhere else on the internet is dub-orientated, and, I can understand some places that, do enjoy the dubs, they want to talk about the dub, but, it's just really weird. Like, it really annoys me. And you look at any other sort of series, so Pokemon or something. There's Cerebi, Maryland. There's a bunch of sites on the internet, that focus around it and that are well known. But Dragon Ball Kanzenshu is the only one. And for example, I don't use Reddit, but I did check out. I did used to use it, but I did check out the RDBZ subreddit. Now, that just completely disgusted me because I went there and on the sidebar straight away. There are links to watch Dragon Ball online illegally for free. Not to mention it's illegal and everything, but in widescreen, so the horrible orange bricks format, which I'm sure I've said more than enough about to let people know how much I hate it. English dubbed and with the Bruce Falconer music, so not even the original music. And so they're encouraging people to get into Dragon Ball Z in completely not the way it was meant to be seen. And, yeah, completely way that's not meant to be seen and illegally online. And I just think that's really silly when, if you're in the USA, I'm sure you can actually watch Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z on their website, legally. And I believe you can watch it in Japanese or English, I'm not entirely sure about that. But, and obviously I can understand people won't, if they're trying to get into a series, they won't want to go out and buy DVDs straight away and then just find out they hate it. But still, I don't think they should be encouraging people to watch a series illegally like that online. Maybe you could just don't give them flat out links like they did like that. I just find that really silly for, a series that the people that are supposedly so passionate about, and they're just giving it away for free, so the money can't go, or to be honest, Funimation doesn't deserve any more money for Dragon Ball Z, but still, it's a legal thing, really. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. I didn't get as angry as I thought I would about that entire rant. Anyway, I have a feeling people are going to get angry at me for this, but not entirely sure. Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Tell me what you thought. Tell me that I'm a massive idiot because I don't like the dub, because that's what seems to happen around the internet a lot of the time. But that's pretty much it. So if you managed to sit through all this, thanks a lot, guys, and I'll catch you all later. Bye.